Part 2, how to be successful in math class and how to use Pearson SuccessNet. So let's get started. Okay, so there's several things you need to be successful in math class, and we're just going to go right out and say it. One is that you need to have stuff, and you need to have that stuff out for math class, and you have to use it. The next thing, you're going to need web pages, several different web pages actually. And the very third thing is just, tips and tricks to make it go a little bit smoother. So when you're doing your math, you have to have your computer, you have to have your textbook, you have to have your notebook, you have to have pencils, pens, highlighters, colored pencils, and ruler. Now, you might not use these all the time or all the days, but you need them there so you know where they are when you need them. So if I need a ruler, I shouldn't have to stop and look for 15 minutes to find it. I actually have this set up whenever I'm working. So I have my notepad to take notes. I have probably way too many pens and pencils and highlighters and stuff, because when I color code it, I actually learn better when I color code things, so I need to color code it. It's also nice to pop out your equations or special words, or maybe you learn something special. And we all know organizing with a ruler makes it really easy, and when I'm graphing, I'm going to need that ruler all the time. The computer is important since that's where our classes are. They're all online. The computer programs we use, they're online, so I have to have the computer. I bought a little thing that looks like this that takes and puts my computer up so I can write underneath with the screen above me, but whatever your setup is. And of course, Starbucks coffee, very important there. And then your mouse pad and your mouse if you need that. So this is my suggestion. Whatever way you do it works, but make sure you know where all your stuff is. The reason the notepad's so important is you're going to be taking notes throughout the whole class. You also need to be doing the work. So even though you're doing your math online, there's still work to it. And there's not a place online for you to do it. So you have to have a notepad to do all that work. Okay, so let's go to those web pages. I suggest that you open up a folder and do all of these web pages. First is the Canvas, so you can get there fast. Second is the SuccessNet, which is what we're going to go over in a second. Third is your Math Excel. Fourth is Desmos.com. And if you've never seen Desmos.com, then, well, you just haven't lived, Mr. or Mrs. But it's a graphing calculator that's online for free. It also works in a lot of interesting ways. So I can do like y equals mx plus b, right? A typical program. I can add sliders for both b and m, and I can see as I change my b how my equation changes, and how I change my m how my equation changes. And I can do this for anything. Like I can make this a squared and then see how those b's and m's change my equation. I can even add some parentheses in here. Plus a c, why not? Add a slider and even see how that changes stuff. It's very helpful. You can do a lot of other things, and we go that in greater detail. There's all kinds of YouTube videos on that. But it's my preferred graphing calculator, and it's always at your fingertips. You don't have to go find it. You don't have to spend several, I don't know, like $100 on a graphing calculator. It's all right there for you. And I can get us back there to the right page. Okay. So that's Desmos.com. I also like having Google open. It automatically opens for me anytime I open a new web page. This is my lifeline. No matter what, I don't know, Google knows. So if I'm working on fractions and I don't know, I just type fractions into Google. Oh, it still has a calculator. I don't want fraction calculator, just fraction, simplified fraction, and it's going to give me 100 different websites. This is your best friend. It's your tutor. It's sitting there. If you don't know it, Google it. There's Khan Academy. It has amazing videos on just about everything that we do in math. There's YouTube. Teachers love YouTube. If I go to YouTube and I type in, I don't know, we've been using fractions. Let's use fractions. Look at all those teachers that wanted to teach you about fractions, and even some non-teachers teaching you about fractions. Then there's TeacherTube, which is basically YouTube for teachers. It was just a place where we all got together and said, hey, let's put all of our YouTube videos there. So you can use that one too. It's got a lot more teacher stuff. You can find one teacher that's generally teaching a subject and go back to them, bookmark them, use them all the time. But these are web pages that come in handy all the time. So last, just tips and tricks. Only two that really make sense, and that would be set up a folder button on your browser and put all of these in here. Bookmark all of those sites. It's really easy to do, and it makes life just so much easier. So besides making sure that you have an area you go to do your math, doing your math every day for an hour, that is so much better for you than doing it just like 8 hours once a week. You really get more out of it when you do every day for an hour instead of spending even twice as much time once a week. It's for retention. Learning math is like learning reading. You really have to do it every single day in order to get it inside there, because we're learning new concepts almost every day. So really spend that everyday time. And that's it. So now we're going to use how to use Pearson SuccessNet, which is one of the best features of your book. I'm going to show you how to register real fast, how to use your online book, because not only did you get a paper copy, you actually have an online copy too. So if you forget your book, it's right there at your fingertips. How to use the Explore button, the To Do button, and all of the neat little resources in it. So when you go to pearsonsuccessnet.com, you're going to have to register. In order to register, I actually have to register you. So if you go back to your Canvas course and you go to your introduction, there should be one of the pages that says Enroll in Pearson. You're going to have to fill out this form. It has lots of different questions on it. Once a week, I go through and put those guys into the class, anybody that filled out the form, and then I email you in your ES the username and password, your specific username and password. Since you're going to want to be in Pearson right away, I've created you a temporary username and password. So if you're in Math 1, you use Spring Math 1. If you're in Math 2, you use Spring Math 2. And if you're in Math 3, you use Spring Math 3. Password for all of them is Password 1. You only want to use this until you get your permanent username and password, because there's a lot of options you just can't use on the program if you have a shared password. Okay, so let's get to it and go to the online book within Pearson SuccessNet. So let's go ahead and grab Pearson. Your login will look like this. So you put in Spring Math 1. We'll go into the temporary one to show you. Password 1, capital P. In order to get into online book, you're going to click this Open Book. And it gives you this digital book. We can go, if you look over here on the side tables, I can go to any section, any page. If I push it down, I can go to the Get Ready quiz or the labs or anything else. All the pages are here. I have the option to highlight on the page to try to say, hey, this is important. And I can highlight in a couple different colors. I'll highlight this. I can go to a different page. I can bookmark this page so I can go back to it quickly. I can obviously change the way it looks. The hand tool just moves it around. I can show 2-page view if I want to see the pages side by side, and a couple other features. But basically, it's your complete online book. You can do with it whatever you want. You can hide your highlights. You can show your highlights. You can see here that I'd already highlighted this earlier. I can have whatever size I want, and I could search throughout the book. So this is my online book, and it looks just like your book inside the textbook. Next, we're going to look at Explore. So Explore is a little button that shows you where your math videos are, what Virtual Nerd is, and your digital pathways. So let's go back to Pearson. If you go to Home, Explore is the button right here. Okay, now every chapter has its own little table of contents. My Math Videos is a video created by a kid to show you a little bit about one of the lessons here. The Virtual Nerd gives you the section by section video tutorials, and it's listed out by section. So each section has one video. And then if I go into that section, this is where you do the majority of your work. This actually starts off every lesson. This is your lessons. This is your interactive pathway. This is what we're talking about when we say this is how you want to interact with your math book. So here is your launch, and this is kind of a fun little thing, and it takes you step by step. Let me make that a little bit smaller for you. It takes you step by step. If I look down here, I have a little stepper. It takes you step by step through just some concepts that'll get you started with what you want to do. Then you're going to go to instruction. Instruction works you through all the different problems that you're going to be doing in the section. So like here's problem 1, and just like the Explorer, it takes you step by step through it, giving you hints along the way. And then problem number 2, and then problem number 3. I suggest that you do the launch and the instruction. Now, you have the option to do your practice here, but it's not as good as in Math Excel. So I would just do launch instruction and then do Math Excel. Same thing, you can do your assessment here, but it's better in Math Excel. Just more interactive and easier to do and less problems. So Math Excel is your best bet. So launch, instruction, and then you go to Math Excel, and they have that for everyone. You're going to be taking notes throughout this whole time too. Now that you understand Explore, I just wanted to briefly mention the To Do button. So if you're in Pearson SuccessNet and you click on the To Do button, the assignments aren't here yet because the school year hasn't started, but it looks just like this. If you want, you can click on the I'm done to keep track that you already did that section. That's all it is really. You can click I'm done, but other than that, it has no real purpose. It just shows like the entire assignments for the year. It's better kept track of in your Canvas course, but I thought it was worth mentioning. You also have other resources in the course. Very specifically, if you go to Home, you can look here where it says Student Resources. If you click on that, it'll give you a whole list of every chapter of like extra practices, extra videos, extra test prep, just tons of different things if you're having a hard time and need a little bit extra. It's all sitting there. You also have your resource center here, which you can look up anything, and that's pretty much your book. So that's the end of part 2. See you in part 3.